kind of negative negative connotation. Okay, so this become interesting how we can pick the good things in the business, such as the innovative, the fast response, and how to implement into the sector that usually been managed by the public sector. This is what makes the social enterprise and socio-entrepreneurship interesting, because they want to take the innovation, the entrepreneurship spirit, and put in the environment that usually been dealt or managed by the public sector. So, in my dissertation, actually, this is my very initial proposal. I would like to capture the process of the creating values. So, the creating values is how you give the benefit to the society. Let's say there is a region in one area in Gunung Kidul that often have limited of water, and one of sociopreneur deal with the situation by drilling 150 meters down below on the rock solid ground, and they need like 800 million rupiah, and this is a very poor village, nobody have such money. So he gather 10 people, and then they collect the land certificate and they borrow to the banks. This is a real story. So they borrow the money from bank using their personal guarantee, and when they have 100 million, and they drill the land 150 meters below, and then they put the pump to have the water, the clean water, because below their village there are river, underground river. And 6 years after that, with many struggle, now they can have like more than 5,000 household members that pay to the group, to the VOE, Virus on Enterprise, monthly. So he said to me that this is kind of have like a money machine, because they have all the investment has repaid after 5 years, and each month they collect the money. Now this village have 6 billion revenue per year, and have more than 3 billion profit per year. So using the money, they buy the ambulance, they have scholarship, they have a program, one house, one bachelor. So they give the money to pay the tuition fee, and they call for all of the youngsters that work in the out of village to come back to build the village. This is one of the example how we creating values, how using innovation to solve the social problems. And for me, this is the biggest challenge. I've been in private sector before. I've been in Big Four. I have a consulting firm. I have many clients of the big companies. But when I dealing with the village level problems, the social problem, with very limited capital in there, very limited talent in there, that is for me is the biggest challenge. But the reward when we can solve the problem is, I think, is wonderful. When you go to the village, they will welcome you and there is such appreciation that I cannot get from my other clients. So this is one thing. Maybe I will discuss a little bit in here how to have the opportunity recognition and how to have the opportunity capture. So there are two things in here. Whether you can see the opportunity out of limited, very challenging environment. This is really need the mindset, the entrepreneurship skills to see the opportunity in very remote and very challenging situation. And the second is when you recognize the opportunity, how to cultivate that, how to capture that. And the second thing is how to manage such organization, because this organization very unique, very they have special characteristic. How you deal with the organization in the village level with very limited resources, with many actors involved, many stakeholders involved. So my thesis is there should be a unique governance in this social enterprise. That I need 5 years to collect evidence, to formulate the models, how to manage the village-owned enterprise so they can be sustainable. And lastly is how about the reporting. I plan to have the sustainability report. This is a global reporting initiative. So I think everybody know IFRS, but other than IFRS, there are other standards also that become very popular right now. The global reporting initiative, how you collect the profit, people and planet, the three bottom lines. So it's not only and always deal with the money, but also with the people, the social, the environment, and how to implement that global reporting initiative to the village level. But my supervisor said to me, if I want to research this, I will at least need 7 years. That is the fastest. And maybe the expect for me, if I've done this, I need 10 years. But I only have 3 years for my PhD actually. And eventually I have 5 years. So then I cut this. So my dissertation is only for how the governance, how the social enterprise governance. And from this, I can speak to many events. I meet with many people. So now I become passionate. Previously, I'm very passionate in the auditing, in the information system, in the strategic management, and now this is I think what I really care about. I'm not really care about accounting anymore. Okay, so this is the topics or the area, the social enterprise. So I agree with Pak Suryo that accounting students need to study based on entity, because different entity they have different challenges and maybe they have different governance. When you done like hospital, it's very much difference with the what you've done, what you have learned in the trading, service, or manufacturing. The standard or traditional accounting only divide the organization into service, trading and manufacturing. But when you have hospital, the hospital have services. When the doctor like cure or examine the patient, there is service. But when the drugstore sell the pharmacy sell the medicine, that is the trading. And when the food that they prepare for the patient, that is become manufacturing. So in one organization, there are three business model that happen all at once: the service, trading, and manufacturing. That is why often that the accounting student become confused when they work in the public sector, because most of the students learn in the private sector context. All of your books basically deal with the private sector accounting. The Ustaz Muhammad Yogyakarta is, I think, have a strength on the public sector. And then people will become confused when they go to the village-owned enterprise, because the village-owned enterprise have some public sector accounting, but also they have some private sector accounting. And this is actually a new area. That's why I become passionate in the learning about the social enterprise. And the social enterprise, there are many issues. Now, social enterprise been taught in Visipol. In UGM, they have the Akademi Kewirausahaan Masyarakat. In our Visipol faculty, they also have social enterprise study. Because people think that social enterprise is not economics, it's not business. So when the non-accounting, non-business person study the social enterprise, they will always deal with the regulation, the governance in terms of the administrative. But when they have to discuss about the financial, then they become some, I think most of them lost because they don't have any background. So this is opportunity for us to study the finance or the governance for the social enterprise. Part of the governance is the accountability. This is why the accountability, there is a financial reporting and performance reporting. Previously, I would like to discuss the performance accountability, not the financial accountability. So I think this is quite interesting to discuss how we measure social enterprise. Do we need to use the same ratio that we use in the commercial enterprise? That is actually what triggered this study. So I think when you study any subject, please do this. This is, I think, what I've got in my PhD program, that really useful. So to see what is the boundary and what is inside, and so we are not confused what we study on. And this is part of the bigger picture like this. Where is accounting? Maybe accounting is only part of the accountability, and it's very small. That's why if you expert in accounting, now become not really popular. But when you expert in the governance, when you expert in risk governance and control, that is really really wanted out there. So accounting is only the tools, is only small part of a sustainability issue. Is sustainable. When you want to be a sustainable organization, that accounting will play, for me, is just a little part. But that is also one of the most important. So for me, is how we take more and more broadened mindset that we are not accounting students, but we are people who really care about the sustainability of organization. Because there are many factors, non-financial factors that come into play when we discuss about the accounting sustainability. And when you expert in the accounting, it's become easier to learn the other things. And it's not the way around. People who really good at the governance, administrative law, they have very difficult to learn about the accounting. So this is actually become our strength. Okay. So why we discuss this? I bring the sustainability issues. The sustainability issues is how we live, or how the world will be as today. The simple things of the sustainability is living as good as when you come from, when you came from. So when you go to the place, at least live at the place as good before you come. So when you enter this, the situation is clean. So when you leave, at least make sure that the room is clean. Because when you enter this, the room is clean. It's happened to this world. When you leave this world, maybe it's quite a long time, hopefully, just leave it to your daughter, to your granddaughter, grandchildren, as a better place. That is sustainability. When you come to the organization, when you come to Universitas Muhammadiyah Jakarta, try as hard as we can to live it, to be better place compared to when. So when we come and the place become the worst place, there's something wrong on the sustainability. So this understanding now become global awareness that the world is not okay. The pandemics, the war, the crisis, that is the evidence that the world is sick. There's something wrong with how we manage the world. There's something wrong with the system. Because previously, people just work, exploit everything, sold everything. They take debt they build everything. Now we have seen or overheard the disaster, the climate change, the new virus. That's because unresponsible development. So this global awareness, now they have the sustainable development goals that they have a target in 2030. I think it's like 8 years. Sustainable development goals in 2030, they have target the world with no poverty. Do you think can happen the next 8 years? the world with no poverty, the world with no people live in hunger, the world with no one left behind. Do you think it will happen? I think no. And the issues always come back with there's no sufficient fund. There's no sufficient fund. And in the traditional setting, this is the gap they need in aid, the foreign aid. So the developed countries, they help the poorer countries. But there's no such thing happen anymore. Because now in Europe, the USA, many developed countries in the crisis, how can they help other countries? They cannot help themselves. So this is come into innovation. So what are the good things on the crisis? I have gone through 3 crises. The reformasi, the 98 crisis, financial crisis, 2008 crisis, and 2018 or 2020 crisis. Because there will be crisis in every 10 years. 98, 2008, and 2018 should be. But they postponed 1 year, 2019. And we have COVID in 2020. The crisis always create a new innovation. 98 crisis create reformation. There are many innovation in Indonesia. Innovation in public sector in Indonesia triggered by 98 crisis. After 2008, when you see like the Apple, Facebook, Google, they like pick up after 2008 crisis. They pick up in 2010. There are many startups, globalization and everything that is after 2008. And after 2020, after the pandemic, there are many more innovation. You know, nobody will think the Zoom thing, the online class can work, the remote working, work from home. That is the term that popular in 2000, maybe 10 or 2012, but nobody think that it will really work. But in 2020, I think we understand due to the situation that they work. So in the UK, the social enterprise, they have like 6.4 or 6.4%, quite significant. Okay, quite significant. People work on the social enterprise, and this is why in 2008 there are a lot of discussion about the emergence of the social enterprise, and also in Indonesia, maybe 2010 there are many research on social enterprise. So social enterprise is not a new thing. Muhammadiyah is actually social enterprise. This is 1 century old social enterprise. There's no something new. But the academics study this subject seriously. This is something new. Starting 2010. So there is some criteria of the social enterprise, like say they have the economics and the social dimension. the economics, there must be a business, a continuously activity producing goods and services, a degree of autonomy, significant level of economic risk, and minimum amount of paid work. And there's also a social dimension, the explicit aim to benefit the community. Initiative launched by a group of citizens or communities. Decision making not based on capital ownership. Participatory nature, which involves various parties affected by activity, and limited profit distribution. Okay, so when you see an organization that have the characteristic of this, so there might be social enterprise. Let's say Muhammadiyah. Do you think Muhammadiyah have activity to produce goods or selling services? Yes, we have university, hospital, right? Do you think Muhammadiyah, like UMY, PKU, have the high degree of autonomy? Yes, we have managed. The management of UMY is different with management of WADI, right? Significant level of economic risk. Do you think like UMY, PKU have a ISSAF, have a economic risk? Yes. Minimum amount of paid work. Yes. Do you think like Muhammadiyah, UMY has explicit aim to benefit the community? Okay. Initiative launched by a group of citizens. Yes. Decision making. Is it based on ownership? No. It's not based on ownership because we have a PPH, we have a representative. They don't have any shares here, but they have voting rights. So when I think I should give assignments, right? So your assignment is please find a social enterprise example in Indonesia. Okay, easy one. Okay, not village-owned enterprise, except the village-owned enterprise, because there are many others. And please discuss with this. Oh, they have the activity producing good is this. They have high degree of autonomy. Do the checklist. So you have the arguments, right? Why you think that any organization is social enterprise using this criteria. Okay, that is your assignment. And let's back to the discussion on the sustainability. If we think about the government, they very have limited possibility to going bankrupt. Okay, but in social enterprise, because they have the source of fund, not from the budget, from not the government budget, not from the tax, but the source of fund is based on the business. Like UMY, if we don't have any students, we will close. There are 162 university in Yogyakarta. 60 have financial problems because they don't have any capability to get the intake the new students. Because everybody loves to study on YouTube. Why goes to universities, right? In the social enterprise, there are two risks: the political and the economic. I learned that accounting students do not like to study politics. That's why very few accounting students become CEO or even CFO. Because if you want to be a leader, you need to understand politics. So this is some that quite annoying for business person or accounting student or I myself. When I go to the village or enterprise, there are political problems involved, and always the head of village do not agree with the director. The director have the problem with the House of Representative. This political. They not in consensus. They do not agree each other, not because their idea is bad, but because they disagree, because they want just to be disagree. Because they think if they succeed, they will be my competitor in the next election. They see in the political perspective, not in the business perspective. But this is a situation that cannot be separated from the public sector accounting, from the public sector organization. The political perspective. So the issue is not how to separate the organization with the political perspective, but how to manage. That political perspective do not harm the main mission. Okay, when you have organization like in Hima, there's always be politics involved. Because when you support someone, not just because their program is good, but maybe you have trust. Maybe you have some aspiration, the same aspiration. But you need to manage them, because if everybody only choose or decide based on their political perspective, the organization will not be good. Okay, so first of all, the organization need to deal with the political stability. That means the support from the stakeholders. That's why you have to be sensitive. That is when you need a very good communication skills. You have to speak on their language and address their problem or their issues. Okay. The social enterprise itself has the spectrum from the traditional non-profit to traditional for-profit. So, in easy way, the social enterprise is the something that in between the public sector and the private sector. So, in here, this is the social enterprise. We have the mission motive, stakeholder, income, we have the profit making motive here. And in academics, more and more use the term hybrids organization. So when you type hybrid, there are many discussions. This is another the other classification for the social enterprise. This is also another. Why I show you this? Because there is no such a consensus on the definition of the social enterprise. That I think because this is something in between. I think everybody can agree this is a public sector and this is the private sector. But when we discuss the third sector in here, there are many things. So now people see when this is not public sector and this is not private sector, this is might be social enterprise. This actually is not true also, but that is what, for me, that is what makes this interesting. Because there is an area that I think everybody can explore and there are many possibilities. And as a accounting student, I think we very familiar with the agency theory. I think that is very powerful. So everything, every single things we think as the agency problem. The agency is the result when I am owner, and you is the management, and we have the problems because maybe you will have different agendas with the tasks that I give to you. That is agency, the principal and agent. And the principal and agent have a conflict or different interests. That's why there is a need governance, how to align the principal and agent. That also might happen in the social enterprise, but the issues, I think, is more on the tension between the social and business objective. So because they have a dual objective, one, they have the social mission, but on the other hand, they have also financial or commercial mission. That sometimes this is become a tension. Let's say like Universitas Muhammadiyah Yogyakarta, we have a social mission. But do we take everybody as our students? Do we need to lower down the fees, or do we need to increase the fees? That is actually there is a tension in that. Tension between, in one hand, we want to be socially responsible university, but on the other hand, we need a lot of money to maintain this. Do you know how much do we need to pay for the electricity per month? Do you know that we have research innovation center? How much money we need to build? There are a lot of money need to manage this thing. So people think, oh, they will have the such profit, but actually the profit we need to reinvest into this. It's not being distributed to the founders or the owners. This is the key difference between the commercial and the social, or the social enterprise. The profit we reinvest to the organization, so it creates more benefits, not just for the sake the wealth of the owner. So this is the theoretical discussion about the tension. So I become sensitive when I teach and people say, oh, that is theoretical. It's actually something has become theoretical or theory. They have gone through many tests. There are many thousands of research to approve or disapprove the thesis of the theory. So this is when I realized that the theory is very helpful to explain the behavior. Why the UMBA done like this? Why UAD done like that? Why UPN done like this? Why UGM done like that? There's a theory. And the good theory, they can predict And I think we survive. Not many universities survive during the pandemic, but whereby it's not only survive, but they are thriving. We are improving because we use the crisis as a lesson, as a trigger for us to change. Because you really need to have a reason to change. And the crisis gives us the reason to change, like to implement many things that is not supported by many people, but due to the pandemic, everybody agree. Okay, so at least you study institutional theory. That is the theory that I use for my PhD. And I think each accountant should understand the institutional theory. The institutional theory explains why people or group of people or organization behave. Why the public sector behave like that, and the private sector behave like maybe opposite. Let's say the airlines. Why Garuda Indonesia? They have lost such a big loss, but the Air Asia or Lion Air survive. The same airlines, the same country, why they behave very much differently? The institutional theory discuss this. Why people in the village behave different with people in the city? Institutional theory can explain that. And by understand the institutional theory, we can predict this. I will circulate this. You can read by yourself. Maybe we will discuss some issues based on the theory. You might focus on the institutional theory because this is the theory that very relevant to the governance. When you understand the behavior, when you can predict the behavior, that some behavior have bad consequences, you need to prevent. For me, the governance, the aim of the governance is to prevent bad behavior. So why you should put the control, like let's say, why you limit the period of the director 5 years? The question why is the theoretical. Why there is a limitation that they can only be choose twice. So the maximum period of the directors is 10 years. Why? Because the theory have studied the behavior of many thousand of the leaders. When they lead, when they have the position too long, there are a lot of bad behavior. So they limit. That is when the theory come into play. Because you cannot explain, use your logic. Why? There's a limitation. When there's some separation between the treasury and the operational. Why not give the operational the money? This will make very much easier. You will say that is the internal control. Why we need internal control? Your logic cannot explain that. The theory can explain. So my second part, but maybe because I will have one more class, right? Yes, I will then discuss very specific on the village on enterprise. So this is the social enterprise And one of the social enterprise is the village-owned enterprise. So when I discuss village-owned enterprise, it's not only for the village-owned enterprise, but that is one example of social enterprise. Because there are many social enterprise like hospital, universities, zakah institution like Lazis, Dompet Duafa, ACT is social enterprise. But they have become a problem because people see that is they doing commercial. That will become political perspective. That I say they need political sustainability. ACT, they have very good financial sustainability, but they have really poor political sustainability. That's theory can explain. Okay. Then village enterprise Indonesia have like 74,537 villages. Out of 74,537 villages, there are 57,273 VOE. And you see, this is a really huge enterprise. Enterprise that has in every village, from Sabang until Merauke. Think if one day they can cooperate each other. This will be bigger than Gojek, bigger than Traveloka, bigger than Tokopedia. Because Gojek, until now, they cannot reach its villages in Indonesia. But someday, village-owned enterprise, in 2024, the target is 100%. All of villages in Indonesia have village-owned enterprise. So in 2024, there will be 74,000 village-owned enterprise. And now we have technology, they have funding, they have political stability, they have resources. This will be huge in the near future. Okay? But the reality, 20% bankrupt. For me, it's good. 80% not bankrupt. Because like in the startup, 95 startup bankrupt or 98. But people still admire startup. Why? When we have 80% good working VOE, we will not have the same appreciation. And 35% they become hit by the pandemic, but we will become. So for the next meeting, I think from your own perspective, why do you think the village-owned enterprise, most of the village-owned enterprise, do not perform? That's, I think, become interesting, because when we can answer that, why most of village-owned enterprise do not perform well? That is actually my problem statement in my thesis. And my hypothesis or my thesis is because they have bad governance. So the solution is what would it be the good VOE governance? I think that will make a good research. You have a problem, you have the phenomena, from the phenomena you have a problem statement, and you have a really clear objective, and then in the end you have a good finding, a finding that can contribute, can solve the real problem. And I think we can discuss this. So before I discuss about the good VOE governance, we must ask, why do we need good VOE governance? Because many VOE fail. They fail not because they don't have the money. They fail not because they do not have resources, but they have bad governance. Why they have good bad governance? We can discuss. Okay. So far, any questions from online or in the class for social enterprise, for governance, sustainability, or anything? So I can drink my coffee. Any question? Any questions? Anything? Yes.
Conversation, should it have like a division that focus on business, the growing, not on just like as you said before that it has to be a continuously selling service or producing.
So, Amel has a question. If a communities want to have a social enterprise, do they need the product first or business model first or the others? I think this is quite intriguing questions, because for my thesis, I accuse that the institutionalization is more important than the business models. So when you want to do the business, like commercial business, you do the business first, and then you do the formalization later. But when you do the community base, you need to agree first, to deal first, whatever you want to do, because this is not your personal business. This is the community business. So whether you have really great ideas and you done by yourself, they will not support you, not because the idea is bad, but they feel that they do not being involved in that particular business. This is a very public sector thing. The participation is principle. That is not the choice. So when I have a governance, social enterprise governance, I add two principles: the empowerment and participation. Out of like transparency, accountability, responsibility, independence, and fairness, I add two more: the participation and empowerment. So to answer your question, from my research, we should do the participative first. We should to agree first, then move. We should make a consensus. This become slower, more complicated. Not everybody can deal with this. And maybe this is the challenge of the sociopreneur. The ability to mobilize everybody. It's not only they have a good business skills, but they need to have good social skill. I think that is a good question. Okay. Any other questions from online? Yeah. Okay.
So, as you said, it has should be an agreement based on
Yes.
everyone. So, can we do it by online, like doing the online because people is not like in the one place or like like the running the business.
Yes, possible. Because the consent now I think is become acceptable. Like you do in the group, we are it's possible. In the group of Facebook, it's possible. In Twitter, so this movement, I think some of the business like kitabisa.com, that is I think previously do in the social media. And after this, that they will create a platform. But why I said this is a principle of the social enterprise governance, because in reality, there are many business that been branding as a social enterprise, but actually pure commercial enterprise. Because on the motive is it for yourself or is it to solve the social problems? That makes difference between commercial and the social enterprise. Like Muhammadiyah and other private hospital or university, they've done the same activities. You cannot differentiate what been done by Muhammadiyah hospital or university with the others. But the mission is very different. It's not to make the owner rich, because for the pure private, whether their legal is the foundation, but actually the founder have many money from their business. What makes different? Participation and empowerment. Okay. Okay. Any other question? Okay, I think if there's no questions, so I will stop with this, the institutional context of VOE. I have sent the material, please just read through the air. So I think it's important that you understand the context before you understand the mechanism. Why they need the director to be chosen in the musyawarah desa? Why need to have limitation of the and separation of duties between head of? Because there is a context. If you understand the context, I think you will be understand. Oh, this is why such mechanism happen. I think that is all for today. Thank you very much for your participation and attention. Maybe we will meet again at tomorrow. Maybe I will do online tomorrow. Okay, thank you very much. See you tomorrow. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
All right, thank you so much, Professor Suryanto, for the attractive material Hopefully, it can help the audience to have a better understanding of public sector organization, BUMDES. And now we are turning to the next agenda is photo session. Please, to all of you guys, turn on your camera. I count 1, 2, 3. All right, thank you. Turning to the next agenda is closing. As the master of ceremony, I do apologize for any mistake during this event. Thank you so much. Thank you for the participation and see you at the next event. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Yeah, yeah.
All of you guys, please come forward. Thank you, sir.